Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I am your host, Mashnor Kabir, and I am a professional human being. Today, we're going to talk about some life advice that's quite true, but doesn't sound like good advice on the first ear. The first one here, jumping right into it today. I guess we can run through some other things. So, Attack on Titan, one of the episodes got delayed, so the final episode will come out 1 week later than anticipated. Um, might be a problem for me with my timing with when I started. Hopefully, I won't have to watch the buffer anime somehow or just stretch it out or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it was delayed due to an earthquake, so hopefully nothing too horrible happened to anyone over there. Japan has earthquakes fairly often. I don't know how bad this one was, but it was bad enough that they had to delay the episode. So hopefully no one got too hurt or injured, and hopefully no one got murdered or murdered, I guess, by Mother Nature. Earthquakes suck. Natural disasters suck. I mean, humans have progressed so far in society, and we can't build buildings that won't fall when the earth shakes. Crap, man. Yeah, hopefully material science engineers are working on that one. While I'm sitting here researching batteries and chips. Well, mostly batteries. I should probably start looking at chips and how they work. Anyways, that's about my problems, and let's talk about your problems. That's what we're here for. So that I can just talk to you and pretend like I know something and try to teach you something, even though I know nothing about anything. All right, it'll be a good time. Uh, so, the first piece of advice we got here is don't try. So, I first read this advice in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Mark Manson. And in this book, it was the first chapter. So when you look at this book, it was a bestseller. You pick this book up in Barnes and Noble. We used to go to the bookstore. I know maybe back in my day at least. I don't know about you kids anymore these days, even though everyone listening to this is around the same age as me. We used to go to bookstores. One of those bookstores was Barnes and Nobles. And so if you went there and you saw this book, bright orange cover, black letters, big bold font, and you see the subtle art of not giving a F, big inflammatory. Edgy teenagers like myself, we look at that and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna read that one. So you pick it up and then you open the chapters and you read these chapters. Chapter 1, don't try. I don't remember like each number of the chapters, but you saw it, don't try. You're not special. You effing suck. I don't remember. You're not special was one of them. Don't try was the first one. Then there was just some other effing like hilariously named chapters, and so I later got this book, and then I read it, and the phrase it's a really good book. Anyways, in this first chapter, he says don't try. That's what it says, and he introduces it by talking about a famous writer, Charles Bukowski. And aside from being a writer, Bukowski was a womanizer, a gambler, an alcoholic, and generally a deadbeat. He wasn't a great human per se by our societal standards. Fairly predictable. He was abused as a kid by his dad, and he grew up to not be the greatest person. Happens, but he made some pretty good art in the form of writing, poetry. Most of his life, his work was rejected, publishers turned him away, and he worked simple jobs just trying to get by. And he stopped writing for a while. He just gave up after getting rejected so much. But after a life-threatening ulcer in his tum-tum, I think, I don't know, do ulcers happen in other places? I'm actually not sure about that. They do. After a life-threatening ulcer in I don't know where, he quit his job. At the time it was at the post office, and he began to write again, and he wrote basically every single day. And although he had to go back to his job at one point because it didn't effing work out initially, and the ulcer was at like 34, I think, and so he kept writing for about 20 more years. And around his 50s, well, since we're talking about him today, you know what happened to his work. It took off. It worked out at some point. And so, when we look at this dude, although he may have been a crap person, we think he never gave up. He always kept going. You know that story, rags to riches, from nothing to something. The artist from broke to the gates of Babylon. I don't even know. And so, he always put effort into what he loved, and it worked out. That cliche, that old story that we hear time and time again from so many people, so many successful stories. But if we go to his grave right now, you can read on his tombstone the epitaph that reads, or epitaph, it's epitaph or epitaph, I don't even remember, that reads, "Don't try." On his tombstone, he had written, "Don't try." Literally just those two words. So in life, you shouldn't try to do anything. You shouldn't try to be anything. You shouldn't try. All you can do is do. Don't try to write. Don't try to get an A. You just can't do those things. Why would you try? Don't try to do anything. It's just not going to work out. And so initially, when you hear this advice, like, what the frick is wrong with you, you piece of garbage? That's not very motivational. I thought this was supposed to be some inspirational, pick me up, effing self help podcast. But you can't, again, you can't be a writer. You can't get an A. You can't do that. You shouldn't try to do that. What you can do is study. You don't need to try to study. You just have to sit down and have to read. You're just not trying anything. You don't have to, yeah, it's just a thing that you do. You don't have to try to write. You just sit down and write. You don't have to try. It's just a thing you do. I don't have to try to write my effing podcast script. I don't. That's I sit down. I slap the keyboard for a few minutes. Boom, done. I know what I'm going to talk about. Usually the next day, because I write my scripts pretty often on Saturday. Um, Procrastination. It's it works when it works. But yeah, that's don't try. You just do. Don't try. Just do it. Don't try to do anything. Don't try to be. It's not going to work. And similar to that sentiment, you can't be anything either. You can't be a writer. You can't be the valedictorian. You can't be smart. You can't be a doctor. You can't be an engineer. You can't be a success. You can't be a failure. You can't be anything. However, although you can't be a writer, you can write. You can't be the valedictorian, but you can study. You can't be smart, but you can read research papers and books. You can't be a doctor, but you can go through med school and residency. You can't be a success, but you can live life. And you can't be a failure, but you can still live life. I get, we're all failures and successes, all of us. All right, every single one of us, everyone listening to this podcast, everyone not listening to this podcast, you're a success, and at the same time, you're an effing failure. Okay, that's just how life is. I guess I don't know. Those effing words don't mean anything. So yeah, sure, you can put them on anyone. Um, Moral of the story: you can do things. You can't be things. It's easy to sit there and want to be. It's easy to sit there and fantasize about being something. I don't even know what you want to be. Maybe you want to be an effing stripper. Maybe you want to be an effing billionaire. Maybe you want to be like Genghis Khan. I don't know. Um, Good luck trying to be Genghis Khan. Then unfortunately, we have nukes and we'll just nuke you. But yeah, anyways, um, those fantasies, they don't give you anything. It's also easy to just do the thing. You have control over your actions, what you do. You will never have control over what you are. You are what you are, and you can't change that. What you can do is what you can do. That's not some groundbreaking effing logic. That's the reflexive property in math. All right? X equals X. 2 equals 2. You can do what you can do. This is not some groundbreaking philosophy here. This is quite simple logic. A lot of these aren't. I mean, honestly, life in general. So much people look at me, what a effing some of the adults that look at me, well, what a genius. How does he know so much about life? Literally, if you sit down for 5 minutes and think about how does this work, for literally, like, look at a tree for 2 minutes, you'll figure out half of it. Like, it's not that hard. Go study physics. Like, go take a single physics class in your life. You'll know enough about life to get by. Like, you'll know enough philosophy to like live the rest of your life if you take a physics class. Um, Or just again, just sit down and look at an effing tree for a second. Like it's not hard. Um, Man, dude, people overcomplicate these things so hard. Anyways, next thing we got here, we're really pumping through them. Next thing we got here is everything is meaningless. I've talked about this before, but nothing means anything. In life, no one has the authority to tell you what means what. Maybe God has the authority, maybe the creator of everything, yeah, he has the authority to tell you what means what, but he didn't. Sometimes you'll hear that religion gives people purpose in life, and that's the cool thing, or meaning in life. Sorry, so religion gives people meaning in life, and that's a great part about religion. What you realize is that it doesn't. Like, go look at these religions. Like, God doesn't tell you to go to school and become a doctor. God doesn't tell you to go start a business. God doesn't tell you what to do with your effing life. All right, God pretty simply just says, hey. If you do a few things, you're gonna get flamed, literally. And if you do some other things, I don't know, you get 72 virgins or something. I don't freaking, you gotta have to read that one yourself. I don't know. But like, even God, he's not sitting there saying like, oh, that tree, it means $50. Like he no, religion doesn't give people meaning. Similarly, if God, the effing creator of everything, believe him or not, if you don't believe him, this is even easier to argue. If God doesn't tell you what human being is going to tell you what means what? Like, it doesn't matter who you are, where you stand, or like what you've done. You can't tell me what means what in my life. That's my, like, no. You don't, who the frick are you to tell me what means what? Who the frick am I to tell you what means what? And that's why I don't sit here and tell you what means what. Um, and like, no one has the power to tell you what anything means. Therefore, nothing in the universe has any inherent meaning in life. Pretty simple logic there. Some nihilism, some good nihilism. It's always good to have a little bit of nothing means anything. Just sit in your bed and realize, what's the effing point of this? And you realize there's not, which we'll get to in a second. But the really cool thing about this is that you get to decide what means something to you in life and to what extent. And again, I talk about this a lot, and I'm probably still going to keep talking about it, but I don't think people understand how cool that is. You are the reference frame for what means what in your life. What means what? I've been saying that so effing much. It's getting saturated for me too. So, sorry, but yeah, when you truly understand the power of this, when you like, you get to decide what does and doesn't make you mad, what does and doesn't make you laugh. You won't get mad at something that doesn't matter to you. Use this power. Really take a few effing seconds. Your brain can think really quickly. You don't need to sit down for 5 hours and think about this. Like 20 seconds. Just sit and think about what matters to you. And if you can do that, life will get so much easier. You don't understand. It will be like you'll be living in a space and living a life where if you know what matters to you, dumb things won't make you mad. You won't look back on situations and be like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten mad at that. That doesn't matter. Because in the moment, if you already know what does and doesn't matter, you're not going to react to something that doesn't effing matter. So, choose what you want. Your life is yours, and you have the effing power to say what means what. I said it effing again. In your life. It's a pretty simple thing, pretty simple idea. Again, people just don't abuse that idea enough. Um, the last one we got here is give up. You remember how I said sometimes you wake up and you just don't know why the freak you do it? You don't know why you get out of bed? Well, if you're not trying, don't try. If you can't be anything and nothing means anything, why not give up? Throw your hands up, give up. And that doesn't mean to go die. Dying, if you go die, you're doing something. You're not giving up. That you still care about something. That's why you're dying. Even dying is not giving up, so you can't go do that. But yeah, why get out of bed in the morning if nothing matters? You're right. There is no reason to get out of bed. So why would you? Why do anything when you can just give up? Nothing means anything. None of this matters. What the frick is ringing? Is it a holiday today? Oh. No, I just have an exam in 2 days. Oh, well, frick. Thank you for reminding me of that. Why did I have to be traumatized in the middle of my podcast? Anyways, you know, in bed, you wake up, you realize nothing matters. And just stay in bed. I mean, what the frick? Why not? It doesn't matter if you have college, it doesn't matter if you have work. Why go? But you'll probably get hungry, so maybe you'll go eat. And it might be pointless, but it's also pointless to not go eat, so might as well. And so what we do when we're hungry is we go make a sandwich and we bite that sandwich. And what we realize is that sandwich might taste like effing garbage. You see, someone who hasn't given up, they're gonna be like, oh, disgusting, spit it out. Oh, horrible. Throws it away, throws away all of it. But someone who has given up, they're just gonna take another bite and they'll be like, yeah, this tastes like garbage. But even though it tastes like garbage, they take another bite and they eat. They're hungry. Just give up. Your life will become simpler. Why try? Well, you can't be anything and nothing means anything. Just yeah, pretty simple. Give up. If you get angry, if you care, if you complain, that means you care. But we can't care. We should just give up. Maybe you'll get bored, and so when you go to do something else, no matter how that thing goes, you won't care. You've given up. All right, so explaining how this is good advice is really hard. Um, all of that was really horrible to go through and to read and to say. So I'm going to leave you all with this. Just give up. Give up and see what happens in your life. It'll be magical. Try it. Maybe you'll learn about dharma, and desire. Um, there's a big difference between wanting something and something just being a thing you do. What you realize in life is just how you have to go to the bathroom. That's just a bodily function. How you have to eat. That's just a bodily necessity. There's certain things in life that you just have to do, that you're just going to do. It's not something you try to do. You don't try to pee. Sometimes we try to pee, but you get it. Like, you're just gonna have to pee at some point in the day because you have to drink water at some point in the day or drink something, preferably water. There's other things in life aside from just those carnal things that we as humans have to do. Not have to, maybe have to, depends on what you define as have to, but that you're going to do. Just like you're going to go to the bathroom, there's certain things in life that you're just going to do. I can't tell you what those things are. They differ from person to person. But, if you give up, maybe you'll see what those things are. And so, yeah, that's the last one we got there. So, in conclusion, I'll end with a quote that I've thought of, and I just think it's really effing funny and cool. It's from a Netflix show called The Peaky Blinders. Really good. I really recommend it. The final season, I think, is being shot right now. So, I don't know when that'll come out, but watch that whenever that comes out. That'll be really cool. But in it, and I'm just going to mention the character's name, Tommy Shelby. You don't know who he is if you haven't seen the show, but you can figure out who he is if you go see the show. In a scene, he says, we're all whores. We just sell a different part of ourselves. That's another piece of life advice that I really liked, mostly because it was funny, but also because it was true. I don't know why I'm getting effing texts. Oh, okay. I thought it was a spam text, but it was a human being. Crazy, huh? Anyways, yeah, so that's all we got. We're all effing whores. We just sell a different part of ourselves. That's all for this episode of Seriously Funny. I've been getting back into playing Apex Legends, so that's been cool. I got some exams next week, so that'll be fun. Not really, but one of them's really long and dumb, so that'll be the hardest one. But other than that, we'll hopefully be okay. Or we'll just give up, and I won't get out of bed, and I'll use that as my excuse to not do my exams. Yeah, highly recommend it. Other than that, I hope you're all well. Maybe some of you have gotten vaccinated. Maybe you haven't. I think America's gotten like 99 million vaccinations in a few days ago, so that's pretty cool. Uh, yeah, I don't know much about world news, so I don't know what's going on right now, but hopefully things are going well, especially for you. I'm still alive, and I will probably continue to live. Don't know what happens. Maybe a meteor will come through my effing window and hit me in the effing face. Who knows? But, um, you know, if I do continue to be alive, I will see you next week. Peace.